Contentment is precious. Here's a story to give you an illustration about how we can find it. An industrialist went to the coast to go on a fishing trip, and there he was frustrated to see a fisherman sitting lazily by his boat, relaxing. "How come you aren't there fishing?" the industrialist asked the fisherman. "Because I've caught enough for today," the fisherman answered. "Well, why don't you still fish some more? You could catch more, and then you could sell it and get some extra money." "Well, what would I do then?" "You would sell that extra catch, you would get some more money, and then you'd keep doing that every day until you could buy a bigger boat with better nets, catch even more fish, make even more money, and then pretty soon you'll have a whole fleet of fishermen catching all kinds of fish, making all kinds of money." And the fisherman looked at the man and said, "Well, then what?" "Well, then you could make so much money, you could retire early and relax." The fisherman looked at the man and said, "What do you think I'm doing right now?" It's a story to show how to be content with what we have is such a blessing. In the verses before our verse for today, in Ecclesiastes, Solomon says, "It is meaningless when all toil and work and gain spring from envy of one another." That is such a frustrating way to live, to be envious so you work hard to get as much as you can. Also meaningless is someone who is sitting idly by, folding their hands, doing nothing. So how can we avoid both of those extremes, where we are envious and toiling, and we are idly doing nothing and lazy? Here's the verse that God can plant in our hearts today to give us the best possible way. "Better one handful with tranquility than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind." 2 handfuls, but with toil, chasing after the wind, driven by envy, you're never going to be at rest. You're never going to be satisfied no matter how much you have. The industrialist in the story, I think, was a good example of that. But the alternative is not doing nothing and being idle and lazy, because that doesn't make you satisfied either. That also is a frustrating, depressing way to be. 1 handful with tranquility, working with what the Lord has given you, doing your best with the gifts He has allowed you, maximizing your strengths while minimizing your weaknesses, content with the 1 handful that you have, and then also with tranquility, that you're able to enjoy what you have as you spend and you save, knowing that you have enough, and thankful that you'll always have enough because God is always with you. You see, that's where the ultimate dose of tranquility comes. Not just from having our daily bread, but from trusting that a gracious, powerful God keeps giving us daily bread and will never stop. Ultimately, not even being tranquil with what we have in this life, but also for eternity is what makes the tranquility go deep as can possibly be. When you know Jesus has forgiven your sin, when you know your wretched state is something He has had compassion on, that He has not kicked you to the curb, but instead has given you a home in heaven, that He does not look at you as someone with a track record of life with all of your accomplishments or lack of them, but He instead looks at you as someone who has a track record of life with all His accomplishments, that He has lived a perfect life, that He has died in your place for all your sin, and that He has risen from the dead in victory to assure you that one day you will live after you die too. That's the ultimate tranquility. When we look forward to heaven being our home, when we have perfect rest, perfect contentment, perfect joy, fully satisfied, that's the tranquility we have in our lives already now. Whatever God has given you, enjoy it. Whatever scene of life you're in, be thankful for it. Know that you have an opportunity to serve Him today, just as you are, with exactly what you have. And then serve Him and work for Him with all your heart, knowing it's better to have 1 handful with tranquility that God provides than 2 handfuls fueled by envy, chasing after the wind. God bless you as you are satisfied in a way that honors God.